The other great tour I didn't mention it was Yanni. I was Yanni's.
Yeah.
We did the Diamond Tour in '96, and a buddy of ours, Anthony Stabile, who's Yanni's right hand man, calls us going, "I need help. We're going to India. We're playing the Taj Mahal." That was the hardest gig any of us have ever done in our life. We were in the riverbed behind it, in the Yamai River, and it was a March. It was a dry season, so huge. It was in sand. Doing shows in sand sucks. We built a full blown 6,000 seat venue in the sand, and 6 weeks later we flew back and we were in Beijing, and we were in the Forbidden City, and we did a show. The Forbidden City is a pretty amazing place, and we pulled that one out. We did 3 shows, right, and that was a great adventure.
Hello, and thanks for joining me again. My hair's a mess. So today it's actually, as I'm recording this, it's right before New Year's. It's in between Christmas and New Year's, 2025, of course. And, one thing I will say is that in our industry, Christmas/New Year's just lands differently. It hits differently in our industry. And for one thing, so many people are still working. They're either doing Christmas shows of some sort, or they're doing New Year's celebrations, or they're doing taxes, or they're doing something. Like, it just feels like most of our industry is still working at this time and don't get to shut down. And therefore my company doesn't shut down either, or my companies don't shut down either. And in fact, we don't really shut down at all. We're online businesses. So whether or not everyone's working, we're still open generally. But our industry just, it lands differently. And one of the other things that's happening right now is a lot of companies are sort of resetting CapEx needs. I've had a lot of conversations around valuations, around what's hot, what's not, what should I spend money on next year? It's actually something that I'm building a company around that'll launch sometime probably in Q2 of 2026, called Gear IQ, where companies in our industry for the first time ever will actually be able to make data-backed decisions, as opposed to deciding to buy something based on a whim, or based on a single rental, or based on who you like, that you went out for steak dinner with at the trade show. Instead, you'll be basing it on what is the industry actually looking for, what is the most popular, what has the most longevity, what has the best resale value, what has the highest utilization rates industry-wide in my country, in other countries. So I'll be able to provide you very soon with all of that data in a very simple process, where you will be able to make, again, data-supported decisions, not just, sticking your finger up in the air and guessing. The other thing that I wanted to mention is I've received some pushback on comments that were made by a guest recently concerning our industry having some sort of responsibility for, or responsibility towards, some accountability for ticket prices in concert ticketing. And in reality, someone gave me a call and said, hey, look, that comment that the person made, he has no idea what he's talking about, because in reality, prices are set long before production companies ever get involved, before production companies are asked to bid on those shows. The ticket price is set by either, the artist or the promoter, or some combination of those, and management. And, well before production company deals are being made. So production companies, I won't say we've never been naughty. I think we're occasionally naughty in our industry. And I say we, I'm not a production company, but I certainly, I am passionate towards the industry. I'm very friendly with production companies, and I feel their pain. And so, again, while people are not always behaving, at their best behavior, sometimes they're doing some naughty things. I would say this one's not on us. It's not on our part of the industry. It is got to do with other things, that are set by management, the artist, and the promoter. So I just did want to cover that. Not that I'm correcting a mistake. It's one person's opinion versus somebody else's opinion, but I did want to make that mention. And finally, I want to actually, believe it or not, I want to talk about AI. But I want to give you a gift. It's Christmas. And so what I want to do is basically give you, I know that a lot of people in our industry come to me and they go, "Hey, Marcel, I know you know a lot about AI. I haven't used it at all. I'd love to start using it, but I have no idea. Like okay, yeah, I can go and put in there, write me a blog post." That is by far the most basic and boring and mundane things that AI will do for you. It does so much better things than that. So what I wanted to do is give you a couple of just small ideas on, if you've done nothing at all with AI, a couple of things that could be very impactful in your life or business or both, that you can start today, literally today. Super simple. Basically pick an LLM, large language model, which would be either ChatGPT or Grok or Google Gemini, which is one of my favorites now, or Claude. My suggestion would be, it depends what you need it for. And so I use the three main ones that I use right now are Grok, ChatGPT, and Gemini 3 Pro from Google. And I use them for different things. ChatGPT has the most history on my companies and on my life and on things that I'm working on, whether they're challenges or new things that we're building or whatever. ChatGPT has a huge amount of knowledge of what I'm doing. Google Gemini is very, very good at business decisions, at really complicated tasks. It's very good at creating images. If you want to do a blog post, for example, that's a little bit smarter, but has images in it as well, it's very good at that. And also, speaking of Google, I also use Notebook LM. And if anyone wants to know how to use Notebook LM in your business or whatever, just hit me up and I'm happy to share some information with you. Notebook LM is an underutilized, incredible tool for businesses, musicians, artists, whatever you are, because it keeps a very closed sort of universe or ecosystem around whatever it is you're doing. It's not sharing information. It's not pulling information from the internet unless you tell it to. It's only using the information or links or YouTube videos or documents that you're providing to it to pull information from. So it's great for things like knowledge bases and stuff like that. But again, reach out to me and I'm happy to talk through Notebook LM with you. But today, pick your poison, basically. I would suggest that if you're going to dive into this, get a paid account. So Google is the easiest, because if you have a Gmail account that's a professional account of any kind, or you use Google Drive, if you have a Google Workspace account, you get Gemini Pro for free. You get Gemini 3 Pro for free. And so that might be the most accessible to you. If you have a paid Twitter account where you get the little Twitter checkmark, X checkmark, you can get a professional version of Grok. So you get a paid version of Grok with that. Grok is really fun for personal things. It's great with health things. I really like Grok. From a personality standpoint, if I just wanted to go hang out at a bar with somebody, Grok is the one that I would pick. A lot of times when I go on my long morning walks, I'll have conversations with Grok, sometimes with ChatGPT, but usually with Grok, because it's more fun. It's more interesting. It's more human feeling, call it. So yeah, I would suggest a paid version, because you're going to run out of you're going to run out of time and stuff that you're able to do on any of these models if they're not paid. So enough of that. Pick your model. The first thing that I'm suggesting is a 10-minute daily AI debrief. And so what you're going to do is you're going to dedicate 10 minutes a day to AI, probably at the end of your day. And you're going to just basically do a brain dump into whatever AI model it is. You can do this by voice. You can do it by text. You can do it by voice to text. You can use a number of different methods that you want, but I'd do it the same way every day. And if you're using ChatGPT, do it as a project. If you're using Grok, do it as a project. Gemini doesn't do projects yet. But give it 10 minutes. You're going to dump your brain. You're going to get your plan and stop carrying all this stuff in your head, the mess that is my brain. And so what this is going to result in is basically a lot less mental clutter, better, faster decisions, and fewer sort of forgotten things, dropped balls, etc. So how are you going to do it? So what you're going to do is you're basically going to, if you're prompting in text, you're going to paste in what happened today. Basically, how did my day go? What are the things that happened? What's something that's stuck? And what matters for tomorrow? So I accomplished these 5 things today. I didn't get this one done because, I ran into a problem, blah, blah, blah. And what tomorrow is really important that I cover these 5 things. And then you're going to ask the LLM, whichever one it is, please give me my top 3 priorities, my next 5 actions, and 2 risks that I might be ignoring or that I've been ignoring, and keep it tight. And when I say keep it tight, I often say that when I'm talking to LLMs, because otherwise you get these 10-page documents that are useless to you, and it just creates more work for you than it does eliminate work. And you'll be blown away what you get from just that very simple thing. So again, what happened today? What are the things that I accomplished today? Keep it fairly high level. So the top 5 things, top 10 things, top 3 things, whatever it is. What's stuck? So that might be 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things. And what matters the most tomorrow? And that's however small or large you want that list to be. And then ask it, give me my top 3 priorities, the next 5 actions, 2 risks that I've been ignoring, and keep it tight. So that's number 1. The second thing that you can get to today, and it's going to give you a huge amount of value, and I do this in a very different way, but I literally probably do this multiple times per day. By the way, if I haven't told you lately, I talk to AI more than I talk to, other than my fiance, probably anything or anyone else in my life. Any of my team members, any of my management team, anyone. I talk to AI more. And it's not because I like it more. It's not because I'm a weirdo, recluse, lunatic who likes talking to machines. It's just that I have very focused conversations and I get back the feedback that I'm looking for, and I get it very quickly. And so it works for me. I'm not going to say it'll work for everybody, but it works for me. So what I'm going to do in this second example is treat AI as a personal coach with daily check-ins. So you're going to check in every day with AI. And again, you can do this in voice conversations with whatever model you've chosen. You can do it by text or you can do it by voice to text. So at the end of each day, you're going to have a short conversation with AI. And similarly to the first one, you're going to share what went well, what didn't go well, and what's one specific thing that you want to improve. And you're going to ask AI for very specific feedback, for suggestions, and for a micro action for tomorrow. Very specific, a micro action for tomorrow. Why is this transformative? It's transformative because you're creating consistent self-reflection. So you're looking within yourself. You're realizing the things that I hit on, that I missed on, that I need to do. But you're getting expert level coaching. And one thing I don't think people either put enough importance into this or even know this, but when you're talking to AI, you're basically talking to a group of the world's experts, all of the world's experts in whatever topic that you're looking at. So whether that topic is coffee, the law, healthcare, art, whatever it is, you've got all of the world's expert advice coming at you. And again, sometimes it's not 100% true. So especially if you're getting health advice or legal advice, you probably want to get, at least for the time being, confirmation from your lawyer or from your doctor. But I do get really great legal advice and really great health advice from these large language models, from AI. So again, you're getting expert level coaching, and that's how top performers grow rapidly. But most people, myself included, can't necessarily afford human coaches for everything. So I can't have, an executive coach plus a this coach plus a how do I feel today coach plus a basketball coach or whatever, all the things that I want to have coaching on. I can with AI, but I can't with, a room full of humans. Maybe if you're a 100 millionaire or a billionaire or something, you can have all these people around you and you don't need AI. But I would still argue that you're probably getting better advice from AI than you are from a person who's opinionated, who might be biased. Remember, AI removes bias from some of these conversations. At least it's supposed to. And, we've all seen situations where it hasn't. But what you're building is compounding self-awareness, habit change, personal growth. And what's it costing you? Like if you have a paid account, it might be $20 a month. So for $20 a month, you're getting a coach on anything that you want coaching on. I'll give you another example. Set up a camera and take your golf swing and put your golf swing into AI and see what it tells you. You don't need a golf coach to tell you, hey, you're tucking your elbow wrong there, or you're looking up during your whatever. So, anything, like anything. I did a really funny one this morning because my fiance came out wearing, okay, what was it? It was like a leopard print. This was her pajamas, leopard print top, a checkered pair of pants, and then Christmas snowflake, big, thick, heavy socks. And I just looked at her and laughed. I said, wow, you are a fashion faux pas right now. And, it was hilarious because that's just her personality. It's super comfortable and she don't care what it looks like. The funnier, the better. And so I took a picture without her face, of course, because she would have killed me. And I put it into a couple of different versions of AI. And the response was hilarious, but so unbelievably accurate and like technical, as far as what patterns go with other patterns and why you would do this versus this and why it could be a good idea what she's doing. But it really just said it was, amazingly comfortable loungewear to the extreme, was the final sort of, answer that it came up with. But you're getting, again, personal growth at virtually no cost. And so those are two things. I'm going to try and give you one maybe on every podcast. I'll do it a lot quicker because this took a long time. So now what I'd like to do is introduce you to today's guest. Our guest today is Kent Black, owner of Paso Productions and a production manager with over 40 years in live entertainment. Kent started as a stagehand in the early 80s, spent years touring with major artists, and went on to produce everything from global corporate events and award shows to major concerts and festivals. He has worked with artists like Neil Diamond, Barbra Streisand, and Paul McCartney, collaborated with brands including Apple, Google, and Disney, and remains deeply involved in the concert world through Live Nation. He also serves on the Parnelli Awards Board and ran that show for its first 15 years. So again, please join me and welcome Kent Black to the podcast.
Good, Marcel.
Good to see you.
How's everything in Florida?
It's Floridian.
Yeah.
It's pretty Floridian. Florida's a funny state because, politically it doesn't matter where you're at, but it's a crazy state. Like whenever something weird happens, crazy, nutty, it always seems to happen in Florida. There's always some wacky thing happening in Florida.
Yeah, my ex-wife moved there, and she lived down south of Tampa. But here in California, we're getting ready to get rained on again a lot.
I saw that. Yeah.
Even the Rose Parade's going to get hammered pretty good.
Well, the scary thing in California is not necessarily the rain, but it's the slides and stuff, like
Yeah.
houses falling into the ocean. Like it just things go really bad when places that shouldn't get rain all of a sudden get a bunch of rain,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Well,
Well,
good luck with that.
yeah.
Hopefully you don't live on the coast in Malibu and your house is going to fall into the water.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually in Camarillo, which is a really nice little town, just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
south of Ventura.
Yeah. I love it up there. Yeah, it's nice up there. Um, so I appreciate you doing this. I think we met last year at the Dining with Dinosaurs thing at LDI. You were there, as I recall.
Yeah, I was there. It was great. Saw a lot of people, Scott DeVos, and I
Yeah,
didn't even recognize John Wiseman until he introduced
yeah,
himself to me. And,
yeah.
a lot of those people you don't see for a long time unless you're working on a show together.
It's true, isn't it? And
Yeah.
like I run into people who have either lost 75 pounds or put on 75 pounds, and either way, it's like you're who? What?
Yeah.
No way, you know. And like some people even more. Like I forget who it was. Somebody who basically lost half his body weight, and I saw him and just went, "Oh my God! If I didn't know it was you, I would never in a million years guess it was you."
Right.
Like just looked like a
Yeah.
completely different
I've
human.
done that. You work on a show with somebody and 10 years later you see him, you're like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Well, my
Yeah.
favorite line is, we've done a stupid show together in the past, and maybe by the end of this one, we'll figure it out which one that was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I was a little worried, like coming out of COVID when I think it was the first LDI show and just running into people who kind of let themselves go during COVID, who
Yeah.
kind of sat on the couch and ate Twinkies and stuff. And I was like, just thinking, you're in your mid 60s, you shouldn't be doing this. Like it made me sad because, we're not here forever. You got to kind of take care of the
Yeah.
house that you were given here, and do your best. And I'm not being judgmental or anything. I just really worry about some of my friends who
Yeah.
aren't taking care of themselves
Yeah.
at this point, right?
Couple of years ago, I was pretty heavy, and I just said, I gotta, I've lost about 25 pounds since COVID.
Good for you. Yeah, good for you.
You just got to start taking care of yourself. You get up in our neck of the woods.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, I don't know, probably 6, 7 years ago, before COVID, is when I lost 35 pounds and never gained it back. And my doctor at the time, I used to say, "Doc, what's going to kill me?" And he'd say, everything's looking pretty good. If I had to pick one thing, it's your weight.
Yeah.
You're carrying a bit too much weight, and that's the stuff. That's where heart attacks come from, and all the bad things, come from
Yep.
that stuff around your belly,
Yeah.
that ain't supposed to be there. So yeah, I worry about my friends. So like so many really great people that I'm looking at. I'm just thinking, I wish I could get on a soapbox and give you a speech, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
yeah,
we've all lost a lot of friends over the years,
yeah,
especially the last
too
10 or
many.
15 years.
Too many. Well,
Yeah.
especially the last 5, since COVID. It's just either COVID got you or all the bad things you did during COVID got you
Yeah.
or
Right.
something. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this a while, right? Like you started, I think, in the 80s. Like,
I went to school at San Diego State,
yeah,
Party Central.
yeah.
Did you ever work on the road, Marcel? Or
I didn't.
oh,
As a
okay.
musician, I did in Canada. I was a touring musician, but I
Oh,
never
okay.
worked as a crew guy on the road or anything.
Yeah. So San Diego State, right in the middle of campus was a 4,500 seat amphitheater
Yeah,
built by the WPA in the 30s in the
yeah,
side of a hill. And and back then there was only 2 places in San Diego to do shows. There was either the sports arena, which is still there, believe it or not.
yeah,
Looks like an arena right out of the 60s, or the OATs, they called it, at San Diego State.
yeah,
And it was all run by students. Ushers, stagehand, security, and it was a great place. But it was a hell of a load in. It really,
yeah,
because it was down on the ground, and by the time they had built a big library right behind it. So the trucks would have to get unloaded up on the level of the library, pushed 200 feet down a freight elevator, 100 feet down a tunnel to get onto the stage.
Ugh,
and and then there was no roof, and so we had to use genie towers. I don't know if you remember those things,
of
you know.
course. Yeah.
And the road guys would call it the pit. I mean, and if it was over 12 feet, like a scenic element or anything, we had to carry it down the side of the hill,
Ugh,
which we called
Jesus.
the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Oh my goodness.
And about once or twice a year on loadout, everybody's pushing cases and they'd hit the elevator doors and the elevator would shut down at 12 o'clock on a Saturday night. And we're carrying everything out.
Oh no. How
Yeah.
big is
So
this venue?
it's
How many seats?
4,500
Oh,
seats.
4,500 seats. Yeah, so it's a decent sized venue.
Yeah.
Huh.
But a lot of us got started there. I started there in the early 80s as a stagehand making $4 an hour, you
Yeah.
know. Then we hit overtime. We're like, yeah, $6 an hour.
That's
Uh,
hilarious.
and
Is it, and the venue still has no roof today?
it's got a roof, and they put in a big outdoor freight elevator, like
Oh,
it's 10 feet by 20 feet.
yeah.
That, and I was the first one to use it. I was on the
Wow.
road with the music of Andrew Lloyd Webber. I was the first one to use it. Was kind of funny, Um,
And
but
you
it,
were telling all the young kids, you know what
yeah,
I used to have to do here?
yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And they don't believe you, of course.
it made it a lot easier to get shows. And I mean, you can throw half a truck onto that thing, and just takes it right
Yeah.
down. But there was a lot of people that came out there. Mike McDonald, who became head of JPL, owns ATK, Nevin Klieg Industries.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of guys, we just started working, and, I graduated in 1984, and I was on the road that fall. I picked up a road gig.
Since 1985, ACME has been raising the bar in entertainment lighting, designing and creating fixtures that are powerful, reliable, and built to inspire. Over nearly 4 decades, ACME has grown into a global leader, trusted by designers, rental houses, and productions in more than 130 countries. Their product line covers everything from high-output profiles that bring precision and punch to brilliant washes and battens that paint a stage in color to rugged IP-rated gear built to survive the elements. ACME has a full lineup of dynamic effects that grab attention and keep audiences hooked. Every ACME fixture is engineered with performance and creativity in mind, helping designers push boundaries and bring bold ideas to life. Whether it's a global tour, a broadcast studio, a theater, or the biggest stage on the planet, ACME delivers. So if you're looking for lighting that's bold, innovative, and built for the spotlight, ACME is your product. Learn more and explore their full catalog at acmelighting.com.
Huh.
And, I was working for Stanley Clark. If you ever have heard of
Of
Stanley.
course. I was a bass player.
Oh, you were a bass player. Oh,
Let me
geez.
tell you a funny side story. So I was in a band, I was the singer, and I get to rehearsals on one Saturday, and our manager, I was
Mhm.
I was probably 13 or 14 years old, and we had a manager, and our manager fires our bass player, and he comes to me and hands me the bass guitar, and he says, "Here, learn to play it. You got
Yeah.
like 6 weeks till our next gig, and you got to learn 40 songs and learn how to play the instrument and sing."
Yeah.
And here's a phone number. Call this guy. I've taken care of lessons for you. And so I call this guy, and he's a guitar player who's going to teach me to play bass,
Hmm.
and he's a flailing guitar player, and
Yeah.
so he writes down a note at the end of my first lesson where it was like dung 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 dung, and I'm
Yeah.
like learning the simplest, like where to put your fingers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I'd never picked up a bass. And so he hands me this note and says, "Here, go get this album and learn to play any song off of it." It was Stanley Clark, School Days.
Cool days. Yeah.
Yeah. So, night and day, I sat in my room learning School Days, the song. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I can't even remember how it goes. But, learning that whole song, and you're playing chords on the bass and all kinds of crazy stuff. And so I became a huge Stanley Clark fan
Yeah. He,
because I heard it 1,000 times learning to
yeah,
play it.
that was always the closer, School Days. But,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
out there. I was a band. He made me the band tech, and, but Stanley was playing an octave up. He was playing like lead bass,
Yeah.
and the keyboard
Yeah.
player was doing the bass lines. and it was hard rock funk, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had 8 EV cabinets back there with an amp rack this tall, and it
Yeah.
was loud.
And
It was
that little alembic bass, right?
yeah.
He played alembic basses all the time. That guy, master. He was a
He was
master. Still, I think he
unbelievable.
still plays. He's still alive, right?
He's still alive. He got I lived in Woodland Hills I bought my first house in Woodland Hills, and I walk into the bank one day and there's Stanley.
Oh
Like,
no.
what are you doing out here? Because when I worked for him, he lived in Benedict Canyon,
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I got divorced. I live in Topanga," and it was mostly doing TV scores. Yeah, I see him once in a while. I see his name like he's playing somewhere around town, but
Yeah.
but that was my first. I was on the road, and
That's cool.
it was great, and
Yeah.
great show. We did a tour. We had a semi. Then they lost the semi, and then I got stuck in the Yellow Dog 24-foot Ryder truck,
Oh,
driving
boy.
everywhere. And we loaded up on Monday in L.A., and they go, "We'll see you in New York on Friday." And I'm
Oh
like,
my goodness.
"Oh man!"
And you're
And
thinking, yeah, this is luxury. I'm on the road with Stanley
yeah,
Clark. This is amazing.
so 24. We call them Yellow Dogs, and they only had AM radio.
Oh my goodness.
And so I get to New York about 3:00 Friday afternoon. We were playing the Bottom Line, and I'm like, okay, I'll just get in New York. I turn here, I'll be at the Bottom Line. Well, I didn't know there's one-way streets everywhere in New York.
Yeah.
And I come out of the Hudson Tunnel, and all of a sudden there's the squeegee guys jumping up on the truck.
No. Hilarious.
And I'm
And
trying.
you probably got no money left by this point,
Yeah.
right? I'm guessing.
I'm a California dude, man. All of a sudden I really had to go all the way up around this way and all the way back down that way to get to the.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Well, and
geez.
plus, I guess it was earlier, so New York City streets were not quite as crazy as they are today, but
Oh, yeah.
navigating a box truck through New York City can be an experience.
The first time you're there too.
Oh,
So,
geez. Wow. Even
yeah,
worse.
so we did that tour in the fall of 84, 85. We did a bunch of work. We did a summer tour, and then we went to Brazil. Of all
With
places.
Stanley Clark again?
Yeah, Stanley. I was with Stanley
Wow.
Clark again,
Yeah.
and that was crazy. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we went from Sao Paulo to Edinburgh, Scotland. Flying.
Seems logical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the promoter only paid for our gear we get to New York, and they go, "Someone's got to pay for this gear." We had all our band gear.
Yeah.
And I had to stay behind for a day. And I got to Edinburgh like about 4:00 in the afternoon. The show's at night.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
People go, "How'd you guys do it?" And I go, "I don't know, man. We just somehow just put our heads down and
Figured
figured
it out. Yeah.
But
That's
then
insane.
we toured
Was that
all
your
through.
first time to Europe too?
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
toured
goodness.
all through Europe. Great time. Me, the road manager, and the sound guy were in our own van, and the van was with the promoter, and we just drove, wake up next morning, drive. And so it was just beautiful. It was wonderful. And we went into a couple Iron Curtain countries. We end up in Yugoslavia, which is real.
Jesus.
Yeah. You cross the border, and all of a sudden you're starting to see donkey carts with people, and people riding around on tractors. And it's just like, God. So we played.
Back then, did you have to pay people off at the border? Like, I know
It
recent
wasn't
tours-
my neck of the woods. That was a tour
Yeah.
manager.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Then we went into Hungary, into Budapest, which is just an absolutely stunning city.
Yeah.
And then we went back to Vienna, and our promoter was based in Vienna. And then we went into Czechoslovakia. And boy, that was hardcore Iron Curtain. That was like, they checked you on the way in, and we get there, and we get down to the venue, me and the sound guy, and there's military guys walking around. There's guys in 3-piece suits walking around, and we're going,
Wow.
"Oh boy." Oh,
Yeah.
boy. And we started, "Oh boy, you know what we're getting into here." So the opening band was a jazz band, and they're just, and people are going like this. And the
Yeah.
sound guy and I are going, "Oh no, this is not good."
Yeah.
Because, Stanley was like a hard rock funk,
Yeah.
110 dB off the stage. So Stanley hit the stage, right into it, 100 miles an hour, and the place exploded.
Yeah.
People are on their chairs screaming, and I had to follow him out into the audience because he'd go out in the audience, but he didn't have wireless. He didn't like wireless, so I'd go out there and I was holding the cable up, and he's playing, and I looked at him. He's like, "What's going on?" And they were that way the whole show. It was an unbelievable experience.
Really?
And we're thinking that.
I wonder why. Like, I wonder.
Well,
did
afterwards,
the album sell really well over there, or
no? Afterwards, people came up to us. This is 1985, and Europe. Cold.
Yeah.
And they're going, "Thank you for coming. We'll never see Stevie Wonder. We'll never see all these people. We never see any shows." And they were just starved for entertainment. They were starved for live music. And so it was really incredible. I mean, I thought we were going to get arrested,
Yeah. RZI Lighting. Planning a show, festival, or event in New Orleans? You've got to check out RZI Lighting, your go-to crew for all things lighting, rigging, and special effects. Since 1999, RZI has been lighting up the Gulf Coast with top-tier equipment, expert service, and that friendly, personal touch that keeps productions running smoothly. Whether you need rentals, sales, or labor support, their dedicated team has you covered every step of the way. From automated fixtures and truss to staging and effects, even consumables like gel, gaff tape, and fluids, RZI's got it all under one roof. They even offer on-site repairs and stock both new and pre-owned gear, so you're never left in the dark. For 25 years, they've been the trusted name in event production across Louisiana and beyond. So if you want your next show to shine, visit rzilighting.com. That's rzilighting.com.
So, it's funny because I was recently, I have an employee who's in Brazil, and he's a musician. And I was asking him, why are Brazilian fans so passionate? Like, I'm sure you've done Brazil. I remember the Rush video when they did Rush in Rio or whatever.
Yeah.
And people were singing like instrumental songs. They were singing every note. They were singing drum solos, guitar solos. Like, they knew all of the everything, and they were so passionate and so loud you couldn't hear the music on the DVD.
Yeah.
And I asked him, and he said, because we don't ever get good bands. Like, we're so starved for music. We're culturally, we love music, but nobody comes to Brazil.
Yeah.
So
we got back out of Czechoslovakia, and then we came home, and the next year we went to Brazil, and you love listening to your bass player. Stanley brought along Larry Graham.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And we had a bass player in the band. So we called I don't know if you remember that college team called Phi Slamma Jamma or something like that. So we're calling it Bass Slamma Jamma Tour.
Oh, really? Yeah, it reminds me of Spinal Tap, the big bottoms, where they're all playing bass.
Yeah. Larry was great. He was the guy who came up with that whole, Sly Stone thump thing, and we just had a great time, a great country.
Yeah.
So, but
what were the audiences like though? Like, were they?
They were into it. We did like 5 nights in São Paulo, and people were just like on their feet. They were really into it. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, because Stanley is one of those weird artists, because technically he's a jazz player, but it's pretty heavy stuff. It's not
heavy
your basic,
funk rock.
Yeah,
loud.
It ain't your basic jazz music, but he can play regular jazz music. He just chooses not to. I mean, later, I think in his career, he played a lot mellower stuff, but
back then it was all hard, like hearing protection must be worn in this area kind of thing.
Yeah. What a fun way to start your career. I love Stanley Clarke. Yeah.
So I moved to LA in August of '86 because in San Diego you'd starve half the year, and I ended up working for George Howard, who was a saxophone player, alto, and then I get a phone call from Kenny G.
Jeez.
And that story, I did a show in London with Stanley. It was an all-star jazz show with a house band. And Kenny, Stanley, George Duke, another great funk, keyboard player.
Yeah.
And somebody else. And Kenny was by himself. So I kind of looked after him. and this is like 85 or eight. It was 89. I can't remember, the dates card. And
Yeah.
at the end, he goes, "You're a great guy. I'm going to call you when I make it." And I'm like, okay, sure. Whatever.
And he did.
He did duotones.
That's wild.
And they called me, and I'm out there, and we're walking out. We're doing double headers in nightclubs, and I'm walking out with $20,000 a night in my bag. And then they put us on opening for Whitney Houston, her first tour.
Wow.
So we get there, and we're the opening band. I walk in, and a guy named Tony Bullock, who's actually still around. He PMs Earth, Wind and Fire, and he's looking at me. He goes, "Okay, here's the rules. We know he's hot, but when we're bringing Whitney down the hallway, we don't want to see anybody." I'm like, "Got it. Okay." And she's going out to do her show.
Yeah.
And then we're talking, and he goes, "Guess what, Kent?" I go, "What, Tony?" He goes, "I got a fax machine." I'm like, "What the fuck is a fax machine?"
I don't know what it is, but I want one.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But boy, did it change things. And
no kidding, huh?
Yeah. So
sped things up a little bit. You didn't have to wait for FedEx.
Yeah. And I learned one more hard lesson in that show. We were in Madison Square Garden, and I hear on the radio, "Here comes Whitney," and the band's starting up. Here comes Kenny's girlfriend with like 8 people going right into the vomitory where Whitney's coming.
Oh,
I'm like,
boy.
"Stop!" Get it out.
Was this because Whitney was a diva, or like
They just didn't want to see anybody in the way? It was just I get it. They didn't want a bunch of people in the hallways, and so 5 minutes later, I go into the dressing room, and she's crying on his shoulder, and he's looking at me, and I'm going, "Uh-oh."
Who's crying on his shoulder? Whitney?
No,
Kenny's
Kenny's
girlfriend.
And I'm like, well, I lasted the rest of the tour, and that was it. And I learned a very hard lesson: don't piss off the girlfriend or the wife at a show.
Well, you didn't really have a choice, because it was either that or you piss off the artist that you're
I know.
supporting.
I didn't. There was no good choice there.
Yeah, like that's a tough. Like, do I want to die by paper cuts or a gunshot wound to the head? Like which one? Yeah.
Yeah. So
tough.
Anyway,
so what was your role on that tour? Like, were you?
I was a tour manager.
Oh, you were a tour manager. So how did you get from like San Diego, at the college, to suddenly you're tour managing for fairly big artists?
Well, I moved, like I said, I lived in San Diego, when I went to college and stayed there.
Yeah.
Then I just said, I got to get out of here because there's just no work here.
But your first gig was as a tour manager?
No, I was Stanley Clark. I was the roadie based band gear tech. And that's with
the next
him.
tour, you're suddenly the tour manager.
George Howard and Kenny G, I was their tour manager.
Oh, okay.
And George Howard was a great guy.
So how do you learn to be a tour manager when you're a roadie? You just figure it
out? It's all logistics, It's all, you got to be able to think ahead and be really good at coordinating things in logistics. That's what it's all about. It's all the travel and the hotels. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I always wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Other than settling, it's a pretty fun gig.
Yeah. So I was living in LA. I was working as a stagehand for Mike Hirsch, LA Stage Call. I got involved with a guy named Patrick Stansfield.
Oh, geez.
You ever hear of Patrick?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Even before that, he was coming to San Diego to do shows with us, and we were telling him to F off as smart ass San Diego stagehands. And he liked us, and I moved to LA. I get a call, "Hey, Patrick's doing this big thing with Michael Jackson down at Culver Studios."
Oh.
And so we get down there, and this is the December of '86. Michael was going to film some new Pepsi commercials. It wasn't the commercial where he got his hair caught on fire. That was up at the Pasadena Civic in '84.
Right, yeah.
They had 8 sound stages blocked out.
Jesus.
And, sound stages, even back then, they weren't cheap.
Was that to keep people away from him, or what was...
No, they were trying...
Sound stages?
They were... they had all these sound stages. They had all these different sets, and they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do.
Oh.
And there was a guy named Joe Pitka, who was a big TV commercial guy. Very intimidating dude. And so we were there for a couple of weeks. We had there was 12 sound stages there, and we had 8 of them.
Jeez.
And
Pepsi spending some money.
yeah, they were. So I was like the runner. I told Patrick, I said, "Hey, I just moved here." He goes, "Great, you're going to be my runner. Here's a radio." Like, oh, I got a radio. Look out for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I hear Kent Black. "Yes, Mr. Stansfield, give me a Pepsi."
Yeah. That can't be that far away at that point.
Yeah, but Patrick,
I'm
I
sure there's some
owe
everywhere.
so much for him. I'm so, he's been gone for 10 years. He was a giant. He was the
Yeah.
godfather of rock and roll production.
Yeah.
He was a smart guy. I'd learned so much from him. He took me under my wing and under his wing.
Yeah.
And so, I worked for him on that. I'd have to go out and get natural food for Michael. And then his manager was a guy from New Jersey. I can't remember his name. I had to go get him pizza or pasta.
Yeah.
And the chimp was there.
Really?
Bubbles, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So Patrick's like, "Yeah, that's great." So Patrick, we started working together. He started using me on stuff. And then he goes, "Well, Neil Diamond's going out next year." He goes, "I want to get you on the tour." Okay, great. He goes, "I need somebody in the production office because, we had vans, we have runners. We need somebody in the production office to coordinate." And so we ended up back in Culver Studio that fall in a soundstage. Neil would be rehearsed for 2 months.
Jesus.
He had the same band for 25 years, the same production staff, Patrick, Doug Pope, one of the best, Marilyn Lloyd, Stan Miller. I mean, it was a rock star production team,
Yeah.
and they kept, he went to the accountant and said, "Well, we want to take Ken out on the road with us and we'll pay him $125 a day." And the accountants turned me down.
What?
So, yeah, I know. So Patrick went to Neil, and I gotten to know Neil, just being around and doing the craft service and all that stuff. And Neil goes, "Yeah, I like Kent. Let's take him." That's how I got on the road with Neil Diamond.
That's crazy. So you were his production manager?
No, I was the production assistant. I was like
okay.
an assistant tour manager.
Okay.
I ran the production office. Doug Pope, one of the best in the business, he's no longer with us, was the production manager. And then Patrick was a tour manager.
Right, of course.
Mike Weiss was the stage manager. I don't know if you know Mikey.
I don't know Mike.
He's the production manager for the Eagles right now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. But, we toured in '89. The great thing about Neil was we do multiple dates everywhere. We do 4 in Detroit, 4 in Chicago, and we would only go out for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time and come home because everybody had families, and Neil didn't like going out and just hammering it,
Yeah.
And then that summer, '89, we did 10 nights at the Forum, sold out.
Jesus.
Which was a record for a very long time until Harry Styles broke it a couple of years ago. And then Neil, no expense was spared with him. Everything was first class. Just from the band to the truck drivers, everybody was very, very well taken care of and looked after. But most of the band and staff, everybody lived in LA, and Neil didn't want everybody distracted. So we had to get all our tickets out in advance, like a couple of months out in advance. We got our tickets. We had to pay for some, and some were comped. Get rid of them because, the box office was 700-800 guest tickets a night, in LA. And then he decided, well, I want it just like it is on the road. Everybody's got to stay in the hotel. We stayed in a hotel in Century City, and I lived 2 miles away. He wanted the same vibe, like everybody goes. We had a hospitality suite. He wanted the same routine. He didn't want anybody to get distracted. So he paid for everybody to stay in the hotel for 2 weeks. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah. And then we went to Europe that fall, and we started in Dublin, Ireland. They put up 3 shows, sold out immediately. Another 3 shows, gone. We did 10 nights in Dublin. And we were playing, there was no arena there at that time. We were in a big barn that was a horse show arena.
Huh.
And Stanley made them, we had to put carpet down, we had to put drape everywhere, because it's a big tin barn, And so the first night, I'm always in the production office, and I usually wander out to see what's going on. I wandered out, and all of a sudden, dun 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 dun, you know, Sweet Caroline, whole
Yeah.
place stands up, they lock arms, they're swaying back and forth, and they're singing it back to the band, you know, Sweet Caroline, the whole place is sweet, and the band's up there going, what the hell was this, you know?
That is
And
crazy.
they did it every night. And
Really
Sweet Caroline is the second most popular song in Ireland after Danny Boy. They sing it everywhere. That's where that whole thing started.
interesting. Yeah, well, because I see it like my fiance is British and she watches soccer like any good Brit. And some of the teams that they play against, like that's their theme song practically.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and
you
I'm
know,
like, really, in a football stadium in England, they're singing Sweet Caroline? Like that's
well,
pretty
they sing
wild.
at the Boston Red Sox games now, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you can understand it. I mean, but at a soccer game somewhere in England, you know, that's a bit different.
You know, it was a great, man, and we had such a great time there. The promoter there was a guy named Jim Aiken, who actually put out the best catering I've ever seen on the road. It was just first class,
Yeah.
you know. We're in downtown Dublin, staying at the Waterbury, I think is the name of the place, and there's Grafton Street right there, which is a closed off street. And so we're down one night at a place called Judge Roy Beans. It was a day off or something. We were, and the Irish love country music. So we're sitting there, we're talking, and the bartender goes, well, you should go up to Lily's Bordello in the back. We're like, Lily's Bordello? Yeah, yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we go around back, go up these stairs, walk in. You two own the bar.
No way.
There's Bono. It was either the Edge or Adam Clayton. They're both just hanging out at the bar. Like, God. But
Cool.
it is in Ireland. It's not like a star thing, you know. People are just, oh, hey mate, how are you? Let's have a pint, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah. And then we went off to Switzerland, and boy, the crowds are like nothing like Ireland, but we had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for you, like I guess this is your second trip to Europe at this point. You went with
No,
Stanley and then with Neil.
No, I've been there a few times. I don't know. You start losing track, you know.
Yeah, it all sort of meshes together into one big memory.
Yeah.
But you know, it's always funny when you see a band here in the US and then you see them in Europe or somewhere else, and you just see the response. And one in particular, like, so the Eagles, I had provided some lighting for the Hell Freezes Over tour. So I saw a bunch of shows on that tour. And, you know, of course, Joe Walsh stole the show. Like when he started playing, everyone went nuts. The whole place standing up. The stadium is just going nuts. And so I did, Steve Cohen was the designer, and we provided a bunch of lighting for, I don't remember what the tour was called, but it was like a world tour, and it started in Moscow. And so I had never been to Moscow, of course. And so my now ex-wife and I went over with, do you know Michael Brokaw?
Oh, yeah.
Michael's was Steve's manager at the time. And so I went over with him, and it was a group of us. Robert Roth was the lighting exec for PRG at the time. And so he was over there. And so it was this group of people. It was fun. Nick Jackson was there too. And so we did a lot of cool Moscow things, you know, because I'd never been there. So I was a tourist. But the show itself, so this was the first night in Moscow. I think they did 2 nights there, if I remember correctly. And he would start Life's Been Good, Joe Walsh would, and everyone would sit down. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, they didn't even know the song. Like, it didn't matter at all. But then, you know, Fry would do, what was his big one? Hot in the City or whatever. And everyone was standing up and going nuts. And I was like, this is screwed up. This is all backwards right now. Like, I don't get this at all. Like, they just, Rocky Mountain Way, they didn't even know it, you know? Like, it was really bizarre. Joe Walsh just wasn't a thing in Russia.
Yeah, that's
very
funny.
Strange. Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, so, you know, we finished that tour, then, you know, back with Neil, we started, the next tour was, we went in the round because in '89 we were on end stage, but they were selling all the way around. People like sitting back behind the stage, and Neil, our stage was built where he can walk up there and sing to them and everything. So they decided, go in the round. Tate Towers built it. Beautiful job. It was a round stage that turned 2 times one way, and then they'd have to turn back because even though the cables were in the middle, they'd still kind of, and just an absolutely beautiful stage. And once again, we started in rehearsals for 2 months, and we had to, John Brown United. Neil wasn't sure if he still wanted to play, so we had to bring down. John had a big old wooden turntable that had a chain that wrapped around it that they'd used to put a plane on at one time or something like that. So we brought it down and we mocked up the stage as the designs were, scaffolding and plywood. And Neil, he was playing, he goes, well, change this, change that. And we were there for about a month, and it's getting to the point where we got to let Tate know now, or they won't get this thing built, And Patrick had to go there on Friday and say, Neil, it's either yes or no, or they won't get built. He goes, yes. And our first shows were in Fort Worth, like in December, and this is like toward the end of October.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But they built it. It was beautiful. And so we started that tour, and it went for 2.5 years. We just kept going. And, in 92 was a huge year. We went to Australia, and Neil, it's like the return of Elvis. He was the biggest artist, most popular artist. And we did 10 nights in Sydney, 10 nights in Melbourne. Just unbelievable.
I had no idea that he was.
Yeah. Hot August Nights, one of the biggest selling albums of all time in Australia. And it was like the return of Elvis. It was just unreal. And, Europe in that summer, and we just kind of kept going, and fell into 93, kept going. And all of a sudden Neil had done a Christmas album. They go, well, we're going to do a Christmas tour in the fall. And it was the longest tour we've ever done. We started, once again, Tate built this, we're in the round, the lighting's in the round, but there was kind of an empty space up in the middle. Well, they built a Christmas tree, aluminum, and it folded up into itself. So it'd be up there, and they do the show. And then the middle part was the Christmas part, and all the lights would go out, band disappear, and we'd sneak in the tree. And then Neil would pop out and start singing, and they start lighting the tree up, and everybody's like, whoa.
That's cool.
And every night, we're in the production office going, oh, it's time for the tree. We run out and watch the tree.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
But we started in Worcester, boy, right at the end of September, and we came home and did the Forum, and our last show was December 21st. It was the longest we've ever been out. It was almost 3 months. And, but anyway, it was, Neil was the best, just the greatest, great entertainer. Yeah. You just don't realize how many great songs this man has written over the years, and just a wonderful time with him.
Well, the fact that he's still playing,
Well, no, he's got Alzheimer's really bad.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. But I mean, just recently stopped, right?
Yeah, 2017. I worked for Live Nation a lot.
Long ago?
Yeah, the first show he did was in Fresno, and I was the promoter rep on it. And so I a lot of the same people are there. So I walked in the catering, and I hear Kent. I'm like, hey, Neil. He goes, get over here. Well, he remembered me. We talked, and it was his 50th anniversary. They did the U.S., they did Europe, and they were supposed to go to Australia, and that's when they pulled the plug. It was a sad day because I know how much that man loved to entertain.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. But it just was first class all the way with that man. We were, can't say enough about that.
I love artists like that. Like there's a bunch of those sort of old school guys. Like I always heard James Taylor, similar things where like the crew stayed where the band stayed most of the time.
Yeah. And it's Billy Joel, McCartney.
Yeah.
All those guys are just, it's old school, man. They came up the hard way. Their crew and their bands, their family. Their road family.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. I'll tell you one more quick,
like that.
Quick Neil Diamond story. There's a ton of them, but we're out, and we were in Milwaukee, and we went down, did the Harley Davidson tour, and met Willie. Our security guys are from Milwaukee, and then sometime later, someone came up with the idea, let's buy Neil a Harley. So we all chipped in. Willie designed the gas tank. We picked it up. I think we did our last show in Edmonton that year. It was 92. And we hid it in front of his dressing room, and he came in, and we're all back there hiding behind the road cases, and Neil walks in, we had pipe and drape up, and all of a sudden we hear those rum, rum. And it was great. And I have a picture up on my wall. We took a big picture of everybody, and he signed every one of them. He signed, it got sent to everybody,
That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So a couple months later, he has a studio over in 3rd Street, 3rd and Robertson by Cedar Sinai. He walks in one day, he looks at Sam Cole, who's like his right-hand studio guy. Sam, you need a Harley. Sam's like, okay. Jerry Murphy walks in, who's his road manager, his brother-in-law. Murph, you need him Harley. And then Dave Wright walks in, who's a house guy. Dave, you need a Harley. He bought 3 Harleys.
He just wanted people to ride with, probably.
Yeah, anybody to ride with.
Yeah, it's no fun having a bike if none of your friends have them too.
And then our keyboard player, piano player, Tom Hensley, wrote our daily tour newspaper with the schedule. So he started calling them the mild ones. So,
oh, that's funny.
And
the
we had T-shirts and sweats. I mean, I got so much of that stuff. So anyway, beginning in 1994, Barbra Streisand.
Yeah.
She did Vegas that New Year's Eve. We had just finished the tour. That was for, but then they decided she's going out. It's Barbara's triumphant return. Was
Peter with her by then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, we put the tour together. About 10 of us came over from the Diamond Tour. A whole bunch, top road guys kind of fall. Patrick was the tour manager, got hired.
Yeah.
And that, how Diamond ran like a fine-tuned Swiss watch with no drama. Every day in Barbara, there's a fire alarm going off.
Yeah.
And boy, she tortured Peter so bad because she knew lighting.
Yeah.
And she knew video.
Yeah.
And so that was a tour. People think it was the Eagles, but that was a tour that broke the $100 ticket mark. It was
really.
Yep. Spring of '94, $350 for the seats on the floor.
Broke it by a bunch.
$175 for the lower bowl and $75 for the upper bowl. And we did 24 shows. We did 6 cities, I think, and everyone sold out.
Of course, yeah.
We had a 75-piece orchestra with Marvin Hamlish, who was a great guy. And, and Barbara she was such a perfectionist. She just made everybody crazy. Marvin was the only one who could listen to her, okay, take a little bit off the woodwind. Said, he can, and she was doing 3-hour rehearsals on show day and making everybody just, jangled up. And, Danny O'Brien was a video director, who owns Screenworks.
Yeah.
Peter was on lights. Bruce Jackson was a sound guy. And and then the people would get so whacked out in these 3-hour rehearsals that they would make mistakes during the show. We taped every night and sent it back to the hotel, and she would watch the tape till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jesus.
And she, Peter, you missed that guy. 1 o'clock in the morning, she's calling Peter Morris. You missed that guy. And so then about halfway through that tour, she got sick. And we had to postpone 4 shows at the Anaheim Pond. But when she came back, she just realized she was making everybody crazy. She just came in and would do a half hour, and that was it. And then the shows just started clicking. It takes a while out there. It takes 6 or 8 shows to really get the tour clicking, And boy, they were just incredible. I mean, that 75-piece orchestra with Barbara singing, just unbelievable show.
Yeah. I think some of it with her ticket prices was, first of all, her audience tend to be a higher end sort of audience. The business people and a lot of wealthy people certainly liked her, but also scarcity. Like, she didn't play live that much.
No, 25 years.
Yeah.
From 69 to 9, she didn't do one live show.
Yeah. So that explains it, obviously. Scarcity.
Amazing concert. Just unbelievable. One quick Barbara story. We're at the Garden, New York. And, back then we had Danny O'Brien had the Jumbotron. They had gotten it off the Genesis tour. That was the big thing. And that was Jumbotron, wasn't LED yet. And Patrick goes pacing around and goes, it's 2 minutes to 6. We got to get her off the stage. We're going to hit the meal penalty. So the orchestra had already been dismissed. And Patrick runs up there and goes, Barbara, you don't get off the stage in 2 minutes, it's going to cost you a meal penny. It'll cost you $5,000. She goes, Patrick, I haven't tried on my dresses yet. She was trying on her dresses to see what they look like on the Jumbotron.
Oh my goodness.
The 7 nights we
Wow.
were there, she hit the meal penalty 5 times with the union. And the union, they're all back there eating Italian food in the back,
Yeah.
but it was quite,
Yeah, it's funny.
and-
I've known Peter a long time, and I've also had him on the podcast a couple times, and I always got the feeling that Bet was the bigger diva than Barbara.
I've never worked with,
Yeah, that's like, just from talking with him, that was always sort of the feeling I got. That Barbara was very professional, but that Bet was more the diva, and maybe I got it backwards. I don't know.
No, I mean,
forget
but
things too.
Barbara, she was very professional. She knew exactly what she was doing. But it was just, she had her whole entourage out there, and it was just, but it was unbelievable. It's great. It's one of the best shows I've ever been part of,
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a tour. I keep telling, it wasn't the Eagles. It wasn't, Barbara was the one who broke that $100 ticket mark. And
I never would have guessed that, but
When-
it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously.
I got a
Yeah.
thing up on my wall. It has all the tickets, the passes, and the buttons. Each city had a different button. And when I started that tour, Dave Ferrano, the merchandise guy, says, save everything. Tickets, passes, save it all. It's going to be worth money. So I saved all that stuff, and they only made about a dozen of them, but I have one on my wall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Yes, same with upstaging shirts. Like, you see people selling, upstaging shirts from the 80s on eBay
Right.
for $100 and stuff. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I have boxes of stuff in my garage I'm just holding on
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Tons of Neil stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, a friend told me he sold a Willie Nelson guitar pick for $55 online.
That's crazy.
I have Willie.
Of course, there's people out there who are just rabid fans, that are going to buy crazy stuff. Like I landed on a bunch of Shakira stuff at one point, through my other company where we liquidate inventory. We bought a warehouse of stuff from Shakira, and it was just random stuff. Like, there were some road cases, wardrobe cases, and among it was 2 like 20-foot tall cobra snakes that were basically the reveal at the front end of her show. And, the snake would come up and she would come out from under it, basically, and it had lasers in the eyes and stuff. And we're like, what the hell are we going to do with these 2? I think they were 25 or 30 feet tall, probably. They were pretty big.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with these big aluminum cobra snakes that were made by probably Tate? And so we thought we were going to donate them to a Ford dealership, for the Cobra Mustang or something. And we put them on our site, and we get a call from a crazy lady in Texas, who had her husband buy these Cobras for her, and he had her obviously wealthy husband buy a semi. And she toured these things around to schools to show them this cool Shakira snake thing. And we were like, well, that's a terrible business model, but here you go. And we didn't sell them for a lot of money. I think they were $5,000 each or something. But we thought we were going to pay to store them forever and then just end up throwing them away, but.
I can show you warehouses here in Los Angeles that are just full of shit that people save, from TV. And it's just like, why?
Yeah. Oh, I guess LA. Yeah. Cause I know a few in Vegas too. Like I've seen a couple of warehouses in Vegas that are pretty crazy.
It's off all these.
Name? The magician, the long hair magician guy. My mind is blank for some reason right now. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. Anyways, he took me into his warehouse one time, and I was like, "What? What is all this stuff?"
Yeah, it's crazy. I've been, there's a company out called Scenic Expressions. They have like 12 warehouses, a bunch south of downtown around the railroad yards.
I've visited them one time. I seem to remember them.
I'm in there one time walking around, and I look and I go, I see all this because they have it in like 20 by 20 spaces, and they'll have a sign up and it says Disney's 50th anniversary, Disneyland's 50th anniversary.
Oh my goodness.
What is this? And what happens is these people do these shows or do these, and then they go, okay, save it. And then everybody kind of just goes off in their own directions in another shows, and everybody forgets about it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Scenic Expressions just sending an invoice every month to Disney or Warner Brothers or whatever.
Yeah.
And, It's unreal.
You know, at one point I had a concept for a business around that. Like at the time, this was in probably the early 2000s or something. You could get land in Central Florida for nothing practically, right? And
Right.
I was
Yeah.
thinking I'm going to build these big, you know, like metal storage facilities and turn it into almost a museum inside of set pieces. And you charge less money for bands to store their sets in there, but you sell tickets to the public to come in and
Oh, there you
see,
go.
you know, look at this set from the Stones, you know, Steel Wheels tour, or, you know, whatever tour. And you know, of course I didn't do it, but like it just seemed like a good idea because you open it to the public, and now you turn a problem into
Yeah.
you know, a paid business. But
Yeah. So maybe we should move on. That was my touring days. I toured with Neil in '96 and helped out in '98. But by then I'd gotten off the road. But I started doing corporate stuff.
yeah. Oh,
And
you escaped early.
yeah. So
Yeah,
well, my first corporate gig, I don't know if you know Dave Oberman, the Obi Company.
of course, I know Obi.
So Obi calls me, 93, 94, LA Auto Show, which used to happen in January. Kent, I need someone down there to deal with the clients, and because my guys can't, because Obi had like 12 booths.
Yeah,
And this is the corporate world. The auto shows was the first thing that really started incorporating stuff from our world, you know. And it was up lighting, basically, you know, the moving lights and all that. So I'm down there, and it's, you know, I'm riding my bike around the LA Convention Center, just trying to deal with the clients, you know, so the crew guys can build in. They're trying to get the you know, the lights up in there and everything like that. And I'm down there, and I see, and it's all, you've seen this, it's all wooden boxes, you know.
yeah,
And like, what are you guys doing? Where's the wheel? I'm being a real cocky, rocky roll roadie, you know. Why
yeah,
don't you guys put wheels on these things? What's going on, you know?
yeah.
And boy, did the Teamsters teach me a lesson on the loadout.
That's funny.
We got done, and we sat there for 8 hours until I got,
no.
I'm out there, hey guys, we'll get to it in a minute. You know,
Yeah.
they were pissed at me. Boy, did I learn a hard lesson.
Yeah, you don't want to piss those guys off if you want to get out of there quick after it.
Oh, the Teamsters they just run the dot. They can make or break your day.
Brutal.
You know, you got 20 guys sitting in the booth, and the gear's still down in the marshalling yard, you know.
Yeah.
So that was my first education, and I, you know, fast forward, I started doing some award shows here in town, and I worked for AVHQ. I don't know if you remember those guys.
Of course, yeah.
It used to be a big AV company.
Yeah.
When I was there in '99, there was 120 people working at the shop.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, that's when I really got into seeing what the corporate world was like, you know, with ballrooms and dealing with video and all that kind of stuff. It was a really good education. And then Barbra decided to go back out. And Stansfield called me and goes, we're doing a world tour 2000. It's her farewell tour.
Yeah.
I mean,
Part one.
So I was kind of sick of sitting in a cubicle. And so I left and but our world tour at that time, it turned into 2 shows in Sydney, 2 shows in Melbourne, stadium shows. And then later in the year, we did the Staples Center for 2 nights and Madison Square Gardens for 2 nights. And that was it.
Really?
So, yeah. They could never get it. They wanted to do Europe. They just could not get it together. Her manager, a guy named Marty Ehrlichman, who is still around, he's in his 90s. Boy, he was a screamer, man, because she was screaming him. So he would scream. And a quick Stansfield story. So in '94, all the bills had to get approved by 4 people, and payroll, everything. So we came up with this check request form, and I was using FileMaker, and Patrick would go into Marty, because we were in his office over in Mid-Wilshire, and he would, no, I'm not paying that. I'm not paying this. And we're like, it's payroll, Marty. We got to pay it, you know? So Stansfield finally realized that Marty, about 4:30 in the afternoon, would have a highball.
Oh, boy.
And then he would have another one. And then Patrick goes, okay, now it's time. He would go into his office and get this.
Right after his second drink, he softened up a bit. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but Patrick, man, he was, and we did the budgets for years on Neil Diamond, but, you know, the tour budgets. Patrick and I we would never know where we would come out, if we were ahead or behind or what, because it would go to the accountants, Gelfand and Fellman, and that'd be the end of it. But
Yeah.
we did the budgets in 2000 for Streisand, and I kind of turned into the accountant. So every bill came through my computer, and so we knew where we were at on the budgets, and we came within about 5% on the budget.
Wow. That's
It's
pretty
like
close.
$4 or $5 million budget,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and we were like, okay,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah. We got this.
yeah. So I'm off the road, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I got a 2-year-old kid, and I just kind of started getting into the corporate world. I kind of turned myself into the production manager because there's no tour managers in the corporate world,
Yeah.
Patrick and I were really getting pretty heavy into the auto show world, working for George P. Johnson. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah, of course. GPJ.
And the people just don't realize how big the auto shows were. There's LA, Chicago, New York, which were 2-week load-ins, 3-day strikes.
Yeah.
Then there was Detroit.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever been in Detroit?
Of course. Yeah. It's a huge show.
12-week load-in.
Yeah.
Insane.
That's insane. A 12-week load-in, when you think of that. That is just insane.
And they would start in early November. And the goal was to try to get all the booths in by Christmas, because the show opened in the middle of January. And then you had to work around the holidays, and there's 4 trade unions in that hall. They were all there. Teamsters,
Nightmare.
decorators, IBW, and the IA. They were all in there.
Nightmare.
It was just trying to deal with them.
How do you explain a 12-week load-in?
Yeah. It was just, because you're dealing with all those unions, you're trying to keep everybody on straight time. And there was nothing else going in there anyway. Cobo Hall, downtown fucking Detroit. There's no one going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then after
That's
the holidays,
madness, though. 12 weeks.
after the holidays, that's when the press events were coming in, because the booths had to be built. And Chrysler 2012, we had 400 motors hanging in the air. That's award show size in the Chrysler booth.
Yeah.
And then we brought in a press event that was 14 trucks. And you're trying to deal with the loading dock there. It's an old building.
And you wonder why our car companies are broke.
Yeah. And you're trying to get everything in and get it built and get the case, because you got to send all the cases out. There's no place to put them. Everything's got to go.
Insane.
And the back doors open, and it's like 45 degrees inside the building, and everybody's walking around in coats and sweaters. And I tell people this, I said, you have no idea how big this show was. I mean, it's, think about 25 Rolling Stone stadium shows worth of gear going in there,
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. And the reason they can get away with, I don't know if you know this, Marcel, but they built that place. They were going to put a 15-story building on top of it. So all the beams in there are 18, 24, 30-inch beams in that convention center.
Yeah.
So you can hang a tank in there if you wanted to.
Yeah, anything.
And so that's how they got away with it. I mean, 400 motors in the Chrysler booth, because they have those huge LED screens just in that booth. And
Unreal.
crazy. Yeah. So I worked a lot in that world, from 2000 till about 2015.
When did you start your company, Paso Productions, and why what's that name mean?
Okay, I'm from Paso Robles, California.
Oh, well, that was easy.
That was easy. Yeah. But yeah, I have a website. You can see some of my greatest hits. But I just started doing all this crazy corporate stuff. I did a big thing for Audi up at the wind tunnel in Pasadena.
Yeah.
I mentioned these weddings I did. I did 4 huge weddings within a 2-year period. Private parties.
You're a production manager for a wedding. That has to be a big wedding.
Well, the first one I did, I got a call. I'm really good. People call me at the last minute. I call them parachute gigs.
Yeah.
We need a production manager. Okay, what? And a friend of mine would do that to me all the time, who does a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah.
But the first one was at Frank Sinatra's old place in Holmby Hills. And the only way in there was 2 gates into the backyard, 2 3-foot gates. And we put a huge tent back there, covered up a pool. The big lots in Holmby Hills are like 4 or 5 acre lots.
Oh,
They're
wow.
huge.
Yeah. Nice.
Palm Beach Hills is the most expensive place in LA. It's because the lots are so big. The Playboy Mansion, Spelling Mansion.
Yeah.
So we got it all in there, and I couldn't work on the wedding day. And the wedding planner freaked out, but I had to take my kid to a cheerleading competition. My wife was in St. Louis at the time.
Yeah.
And I
Priorities.
get back. I mean, it was Brad Gray, President Paramount Pictures. So Sting was there. Danny DeVito lived right behind him. I mean, big Hollywood A-list wedding. And next day I come in and I'm in the house, and in one room there's all this booze, and like, wow. And the house manager comes to me, and goes, "Yeah, that's all the stuff we open. We can't return it because if you don't open it, there's these 3 big liquor stores on the west side that do all this stuff. You can return it." But some bottles were open and just like one pour out of it. And he goes, "Take care of everybody." So I took care of all the crew, 2 cases of French wine. He goes, "I don't need it. Just so I took care of everybody."
Wow.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah. It took us, the funny thing about that gig, we were right across the street from Barbara's old house in Holmby Hills. There, it was on Carrollwood, which is the north side of Sunset. Right at the bottom of Carrollwood is where Michael Jackson died.
Yeah.
Ozzy lived in that street for a long time. And I had to bring a crane in to get the porta potty over the roof into the backyard.
Jesus.
And these tour buses are going by. And I'm like, "Hey, just another day in Hollywood." Crane.
That's funny. Lifting porta potties over the house.
Yeah.
with a
And I've
crane.
dealt with cranes a lot, man. It's, well, the next year for the same wedding planner, I did this wedding in the Hamptons, and it was a 21-day load-in. And we worked right up to the night before.
It's ridiculous.
You've been out to the Hamptons, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
It's kind of a funny place. It's like,
It's weird.
there's farm fields, there's all these houses, and and we were on Mayacock Bay there, right at Watermill, and it was a beautiful old place. It was an old craftsman, been there 100 years with the big porches. It was only like 4,000 square feet, but there was this big backyard that grass went all the way down to the water, and it was a 13-foot drop.
Yeah.
And we put in, the first week alone was putting in this humongous scaffolding structure. That's where the main the reception was going to be. Then we put another tent in front of the house and another tent in the tennis court. And it was just endless coordination, Kat was there with power, and it was just off the charts.
Yeah.
And
that was a wedding as well. Yeah.
That was a wedding. I was there for a
Jesus.
month, 21 days in, 10 days out. Everybody's going, "How's the Hamptons?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And there's no chain hotels out there. We were staying at a place called the Trident, which is down by the golf course where they're doing the U.S. Open. Name escaped me, but the traffic jam in the morning was unbelievable because everybody lived off the island in Long Island. It was just, and we'd stop at this 7-Eleven. It's the busiest 7-Eleven I've ever seen in my life. There's like 5 coffee stations, and that's where all the Latins hung out.
Yeah.
And we get there at 7, work all day, get everybody off the property, go eat dinner, go to the hotel, step and repeat. Same thing. Just, that's all they did.
The amount of money that some of these people spend on these weddings just blows my mind. It's especially with the divorce rate at whatever it is today, 80% or something. It's like, okay, we're going to spend $7 million on a wedding or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. I did a couple others. I did another one at the Roseland Ballroom from the same guy, and that was a hard one. That was like a 48-hour load-in, right in the middle of New York, and I had Twin Pack go down on me. Only time I've ever had a Jenny fail, but it failed the night before, thank God. Of course, you're right in the middle of New York City, and it's just like, oh. But,
did you ever do one of these big weddings where they hire like Beyonce or somebody to perform?
No, but I did a private party back in Holmby Hills next to the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah.
The Brody House, owned by a tech guy. We decided to do a party. And my friend got the call, but he was busy. My buddy, Eddie Swank, who does a lot of TV shows, he called me, goes, "Can you come in and cover the load-in? Because I'm I'll be there." So we were there for 3 weeks. And you've driven through that area. It's all these big hedgerows.
Yeah, it's
You
crazy.
can't, these tours go by, and the only thing you see is the front gate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, these bushes belong to.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so we we had to bring a crane in to get to all the tent structures in the back, cover a pool, and it was just day after day. And we cut a hole in the hedges and the driveway, and had to park the truck on the side like this and unload it into the backyard, and it was something else. And so on that gig, we had John Legend, Lady Gaga, and the Chili Peppers.
Damn.
We had to build a turntable in the corner, hauling G blocks by hand. It was just, and Eddie finally got there, and it's a day of show. We're right down to like we're cleaning the driveway, and Eddie looks at me and he goes, "You want to get out of here?" I'm like, "I gotta get out of here, Eddie." He goes, "Get out of here. I'll run the show. Be back at 7 in the morning."
Yeah.
So I didn't see
Wow.
the show, but a great thing. This guy, we're just thinking it's another Hollywood tent party. We've done tons of those. On the day of the event, this guy donated $250 million to cancer research.
Wow.
Big.
A real baller.
He believed in the immunology. I think they call it, or it's fighting cancer with your immune system.
Okay.
So he donated $250 million to 10 universities in California there. And at that time, we were like going, okay, this is good. We get behind this.
That's real money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did another one with him. It was for his birthday right before the pandemic. And we had a 16 by 24 stage underneath the big old magnolia tree back there, and Stevie Nicks played on it.
Jesus.
So Marty Hahn was there, and Dave Morgan, all those guys are all part of that whole. But yeah, it was 100 people, and then the pandemic hit.
100 people.
Yeah.
There were 100 people at the party for Stevie Nicks to play.
Yeah.
Jesus. You got cash when, right?
Well, it's like these corporate gigs. People, like Huey Lewis and Train. I mean, that's where the money is. I don't know if Huey Lewis, back, unfortunately he's not touring anymore. He can get 30 grand if he plays the Canyon Club in Agoura Hills.
Yeah.
Corporate, he'll get 80 grand, and they pay for the flights, they pay for the hotels, they pay for everything.
Yeah.
And they want 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just easy money for these guys.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them, but I've done a whole bunch of those.
And they all complain. Like you hear all of them complaining on the, when they do interviews and stuff. Oh yeah. Like comedians, you hear them complaining. Oh, I had to do this corporate gig. They suck. Like they go on Joe Rogan. They go on Joe Rogan and complain, about having to do a corporate gig, but you got paid like 250 grand or something. Like, what are you complaining about? Shut up.
Yeah, it's just easy gig. You're in a beautiful hotel. You're not bouncing around on a tour bus. And
thank you for joining me today on Geezers of Gear. This episode is brought to you by Delicate Productions. Since 1980, Delicate Productions has mastered the art of lighting, audio, and video in high-energy live settings, from iconic music festivals to global tours, corporate launches, award shows, sporting events, and beyond. For Delicate, the only way to get it right is to get it just right. With precision, creativity, and full-service production capabilities, they turn bold visions into moments that linger in pop culture's subconscious. Need a single touring partner to handle audio, lighting, video rigging, and production design? Delicate delivers it all flawlessly. Located in the greater Los Angeles area and part of the Live Events Productions Network, Delicate has access to a deep nationwide inventory of gear and is powered by a highly skilled team amplifying your tour's full potential. Whether you need rigging, production design, or end-to-end show management, they deliver it all seamlessly. And it doesn't end there. Delicate delivers a full 360-degree production experience by teaming up with sister company Pyrotechnico, experts in fireworks, special effects, and drone light shows. Together, they create truly immersive, multi-sensory experiences that elevate every show. Visit delicate.com to see how unforgettable events get made. That's delicate.com, where technical brilliance meets creative impact. I guess it's hard though when you're a performer and like the crowd isn't really like you're a comedian who might be a little dark or you curse a lot or whatever, and you got all these people, stuffy people in, you know, tuxedos and their wives in these multi-$1,000 gowns and stuff, and
Yep.
it's not your crowd, you know?
No.
So it's like the
Yeah,
guy who is having the party likes you, so he decided to bring you in, but it's not your crowd.
yeah,
So I understand, but take the
yeah,
money, cash the
yeah.
check and shut up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I did a corporate gig in Shreveport a couple of years ago. Well, I once again had to bring a crane in. Downtown Shreveport, old hotel. Right next to it's a health club with a tennis court on top. And this company, a cool company, it's called Metro Aviation. They build all the air ambulance helicopters in the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they have a whole network across the country, like a 24-hour mission control thing going on. Really nice guys, but it was their 40th anniversary. But the problem I had was old hotel with an elevator about the size of a closet. And next door on top of this health club was a tennis court. That's where they're doing the party. So I had to park a 120-ton crane on the street, and everything from the tent to the dance floor went up on this crane. 4 days.
Aye.
Yeah. And the thing that saved me is the crane guy goes, this crane normally works in the oil fields. He goes, I got this big basket that's like, 36 inches wide by, 12 feet long, but that we haul pipe in. But I said, I'll use it because it had a little gate on the end, and I loaded all the road cases on there. Instead of sending up road cases one at a time, we can just load them onto this thing and up they went, and boy, it saved a lot of time.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing now, you get into using this really heavy equipment, I'm trying to get shows in some of these crazy places. But that was a great show. We had Cyndi Lauper and we had Mike McDonald. And Mike played with the opening band called the Molly Ringwalds.
Oh boy.
It was an 80s themed party. And it was a lot of fun. Mike's a great guy. He was very he lives up in Santa Barbara. Really, and he went along with it. No, he played like 4 songs and probably got paid who knows how much, but
a bazillion.
But yeah, just crazy stuff like that over the years.
Yeah.
I did BMW's 100th anniversary in 2016 in Barker Hangar. I don't know if you're familiar with Barker down in Santa Monica.
Nope.
Oh boy, it's an old airplane hangar at Santa Monica Airport. And this lady, her name's Judy Barker. I've done a ton of shows in there, done a bunch of different things, but one day her friend walks in 1990 and said, Judy, this place can be an event center, because she was storing planes for like $50 a month, stuff like that. Yeah. And it turned into a big event center. There's been a lot but I did BMW's thing in there, and it had to be 100 trucks. It was that big.
Wow.
It was like an auto show. They put down false floor, through the whole hangar. It was just, and I'm the only one who's ever been around a generator there 24 hours, because you can't run the Jennies there for 24 hours because it bothers the neighbors. So, and they're going, we got to keep these two things running 24 hours a day. There's no way around it. And so I said, and they're running at 50 hertz, which makes them a little quieter. So I stacked up all those big the big wooden boxes around, put it in the back corner, stacked them up around this Jenny. And I ran it for 24 hours for like, 10 days. And Judy never knew. She would have known, she would have scalped me, but we got away with it. So
how big is this place?
It's probably about 150 feet wide by about 200 feet deep.
So it's not that big.
Maybe 300 feet deep. It's just a Quonset hut airplane hangar. Hell, I did the People's Choice Awards in there.
Wow.
I've done the BMW in there. What else? I can't remember. But it's popular. It's busy almost every week. It's the only big place on the west side that you can do events in. The west side of LA. And there's just no other space that I did Robert Downey. Oh, there's a Robert Downey's birthday party there. Big A-list Hollywood party.
Yeah.
And I was actually working the New York Auto Show, and I flew back, and they had already been a day in load-in, but we put a turntable in. We had all this drape everywhere, and it was a big birthday party kind of thing. Barbra Streisand's there. Everybody's there. Well, the entertainment was Duran Duran and Steely Dan.
Oh, wow.
On a big turntable. So we had Duran Duran play first, and a lot of people left. And then we flipped the table, and all of a sudden everybody realizes it's Steely Dan. And I think it's the only corporate gig they ever did, because it was right in the middle. The year they played Coachella, it was in that week. They played, and everybody was like, it was great, to see them. but by then there was only like 200 people left. So
wow,
yeah,
that's
anyway,
cool.
I enjoy it.
Did you ever get a gig where you took the gig, you said yes, and then immediately went, oh God, what have I done?
Last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Recently.
I've done a few. I'm not no names named before, a big party
Yeah.
planner in town here. And after the last one was a City of Hope show, big entertainment show. I said, never again, never again. Well,
Yeah.
8 years go by. She calls me. She goes, I'm doing this graduation out at Claremont, Claremont College.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds I can deal with that. Well, it just turned into a nightmare, and she wouldn't listen to me. And unfortunately, at that time, my sister was in the hospital. She was having all sorts of medical problems. I was up in Paso Robles, and I called her and said, I can't deal with this. And I just couldn't put up with her for 3 months. Because, you say, okay, why'd you hire me? I'm your production manager. This is how we should do it. This should be the schedule.
Yeah.
They wanted to do it on top of a parking structure, and parking structures are really funky. You really got to be careful with those things because they're not built to do events on top of. They're built to park cars, and they're engineered that way. So I got a buddy to do it, and just walked away from it. I just couldn't take it with her. She just and I talked to my buddy afterwards. I go, how'd it go, Eddie? He goes, I'm not working for her again.
I've known people like that too. Like I got hired by somebody on a consulting thing, and they were putting together, they were buying a couple of companies, and this was probably, it was before COVID. It was probably 2017 or 18. And, they just wouldn't listen to anything.
Yeah.
Like, they hired me, they were paying me, which was great, but they wouldn't listen to anything I told them to do. And, and so finally I just said, look, stop paying me. Like, what are you doing? This is a waste of your money and my time. So let's just, cut the shit,
Yeah.
And they went, no, we'll do whatever you want, Yeah.
So, it just, you hire me to, I'm a production guy, logistics. This is how we should put the show in. Yeah. This is where we can save money. And they just, I just had to walk. I was under I thought I was going to lose my sister. It was a pretty bad situation. I just said,
she's okay now?
Yeah, she's fine.
Good.
But it was, I'm like, I look after her because my mom's gone and she's on disability. But there's one other party planner in town who I've worked for, and this lady's the best. Her name's Debbie Geller. And she goes, and it's a complete opposite. She goes, Kent, when I get into these big shows, I need you because I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
We did an event for, this guy was one of the richest guys in town for quite a while, aircraft leasing business, down Barker Hangar. It was a James Bond theme. We had a rocket hanging over the cocktail area. It was a big party for him, and it was a great event. And she never, this lady never yelled at anybody. She would ask me questions. I'll get back to you. She's just the best. I mean,
on those gigs, do they give you the budget or do you give them the cost?
No, those gigs are kind of like the budget's the budget. It's just like, I never saw it. I just was brought in. I was brought in 2 weeks out to help pull it together. So the same other lady does all the events for the Rogers family in Toronto. I've done 3 events for the Rogers family.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar with them, right?
Well, yeah, I have a house in Canada and I friggin' write them a check every month. Rogers bastards.
So we did 2008, Ted Rogers' 75th birthday party. Yeah. We're up at the Canadian Film Center up in the north end of town. Big tent party, you put a tent up, but then this guy came up from LA. Oh God, this this guy, he's a foofer, he makes the tent look beautiful. Well, he brought all his guys. Well, 8 of them got sent home. And so we got the whole tent done. It's beautiful. We had Paul Anka, we had Harry Belafonte, some of the richest people in Canada are there. Great party. We got that out. I went down to the Sky. I call it the Sky Dome because that's when it was built. It was the Sky Dome.
Yeah.
And I got a room, and I'm up there in right field watching the Blue Jays play the Kansas City. Game's over. They clear the place. I come down at 6 p.m. We started an overnight load in. And there's a picture of it on my website. We brought in carnivals, a mobile stage, had survived, and then it was Ted's 75th birthday party for all the employees. We had 8,000 people show up.
Wow.
Yeah. And, they're a very family-oriented business. They're great people. Melinda, one of the daughters, kind of handles all that kind of stuff for them. And so it went off great. Get home. God, I was down at LA Live putting up we're doing a big Christmas tree, 11,000 LED bulbs in it, in the plaza there. And Ted passed away.
Oh, boy.
And Debbie calls me, and I go, well, I'm just wrapping up this show. She goes, they want us. We got to fly to Toronto tomorrow. I flew back to Toronto, and I did Ted's funeral. I've done 2 funerals.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Because we were downtown at some big old church. I mean, beautiful old, and they wanted to broadcast it. And it was a big crowd coming. We had to put a tent outside. It's December. It's snowing, LED screen. Whenever I'm in Toronto, do you know a guy named Bob Mitchell?
I do. Yeah.
CPI. But
Yeah.
Bob's my guy. Because I got to have a local guy who can pick up the phone at 8:00 at night and call somebody and say, we need this tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
If I call them, they're like, well, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bob helped me on all those shows. Great guy, But the last part,
I think I was thinking of somebody else because I do know a Bob Mitchell, but I don't think it's that Bob Mitchell because he's not in Toronto.
Bob worked for CPI for years. He was their production manager, promoter rep. And then he ran that big festival in downtown Toronto that happens in June every year. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't know if I know him or not.
Anyway,
I'm old too. I forget.
Yeah. The other thing is when you're doing shows in a town, you need to have a local guy there who can pick up the phone. That's really key.
Who can speak Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the funniest thing is we're in the church and they're going to broadcast it, and I'm up there with the pastor. I go, sir, I need to put a couple lights up behind the podium here. He goes, no. I said, sir, this is going on TV. I got to backlight these people. He let me put one up there, but he didn't want any of this rocking, stuff in this.
Wow.
Yeah. So
fun.
And the funniest last story. So Debbie and I get there, we're running around and, we're doing things. And she goes, well, we got to go up to the house. I'm like, okay, second richest man in Canada. We're driving up through this neighborhood. I can't remember the name, but it looks like Hancock Park to me. There's houses with big lawns and driving. All of a sudden we turn the corner, pull right in the driveway. The driveway's the size of my driveway. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, this is their house. They've lived here for 35 years.
Wow.
There's no big fence. You can walk. I guess you walk up, knock on the door, and Ted would answer, and we're in the house and there's stuffed animals everywhere because of grandkids. And it just felt like a home,
Yeah.
And the coolest thing, Marcel, is they have put in a solarium over the living room and it's snowing and we're talking and I'm like, just watching the snow down.
Yeah.
But they're just,
Feels
and
like
Debbie's
inside.
Debbie's like, this is how the Canadians are. It's not like they're behind LA, like they're behind forts, and high hedges. This is their home. They've lived here for 35 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I was in, I don't know if you know who Dave Weckerly is, but he was on like the Canadian version of Shark Tank. Very successful business guy / investor in Canada.
Yeah.
He was one of the early BlackBerry guys, I think, too. but very, very wealthy guy. I was in his house, and it was very similar, like small
Yeah.
driveway. You walk right up to the door.
Yeah.
Unbelievable friggin' house inside,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very normal. Like it didn't, we have much more opulent houses here, I
Oh my,
think, for the most part.
West LA and Holmby Hills,
Yeah.
and all this. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Well, and here,
But
Palm Beach, it's the same thing. Palm Beach, you can't see the house. The house is like, a
yeah,
quarter of a mile away from where you're standing,
yeah.
So,
But then
yeah.
I'm just really, and we one more thing for them. We did their 50th anniversary in I think 2011. We did Vancouver, Moncton, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto. It was a 50th anniversary celebration.
Yeah.
So I loaded the show in Vancouver, and I know a guy up there, Chris Pryor Entertainment,
Yeah.
who I called immediately saying, I had a relationship with him. But as soon as I put that show in, we had to get on a plane, me and the scenic guy, a couple to get to Moncton, which is, if you don't leave Vancouver by 10 in the morning, you're not making it to
That's a
Moncton.
long trip. Yeah.
Yeah,
People
it
think
is.
Canada's small until you have to go from Vancouver to Moncton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an enjoyable one. Yeah. Once again,
Yeah.
we ended up I think we ended up in the Sky Dome again. But
Yeah.
anyway, great family. Great.
It's funny because when I first moved to South Florida over 30 years ago, you'd say you were from Canada and people would be like, "Oh, well, do you know like Bob Smith?" And I'm like, "Well, where does he live?"
Yeah.
In Canada. In Canada, like it's a tiny little place this big, up north, right?
Yeah.
Or it was either that or I come from Canada. Oh, Vancouver or Montreal? And I'm like, well, there's sort of a whole country between
Yes.
those two,
Big country.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in between those two.
One thing I was dating a woman who lives in Buffalo,
Okay.
whose family owns one of the biggest tent companies in the country. I met her at a convention in Long Beach,
Yeah.
and we had a great time. She's much younger than me, but we went up to Montreal one weekend, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
What a great city. But I went out and met with stage line people.
Yeah.
And because I worked for Klieg for years, I sold mobile stages on the side for Klieg. So, I went and visited their facilities. Beautiful, beautiful area up there. They took me out to lunch and had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's they're interesting people. I mean, they've certainly built a really nice business from what started as something fairly small a long time ago. But
yeah, I think Marcel, he built his first one just for some festival in downtown Montreal or something like that. But
what's his name again? Yvonne or
Yvonne, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're great. They're great people. I've had a really good relationship with them over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great product.
Yeah.
So
it's changed
nowadays,
everything.
You don't do any touring at all? Like if someone called you and said, we want you to go out and PM, the next whatever tour?
No, I haven't been on the road in 25 years.
Yeah.
I do have 3 casino clients. I call them parking lot parties.
Yeah.
Roll a mobile stage into a parking lot outside the casino. And I had one client in San Diego, one out in Arizona, one up in Elko, Nevada, of all places. I work for Live Nation a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like their bullpen guy. They get overloaded. They call me.
So
I still got my foot in the concert world quite a bit.
I know you've done the Parnellis for a number of years too, right?
I ran that for 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the beginning, I would put the show in and I would even show call it.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where it's just like, I don't know, this is kind of time to step aside. And Kevin Mitchell wanted Michael O'Keefe to run it.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, 15 years, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I've always had a good relationship with Terry Lowe.
Yeah.
Over the years. And it was fun. But, mostly, I think about getting back on the road, but, I always hated tour buses. I just could not sleep on it. There's 2 guys out there. People who can sleep on tour buses and people who can't. And I never could.
Yeah. I've never, well, I did it when I was playing, but it wasn't tour buses. Like I'd be sleeping on top of speaker cabinets in a school bus
back
or
of the
something,
band.
But but I've never actually slept in bunks on a tour bus. I've,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
proud to say it, but it's true, So
I did.
I
I
know
did.
a huge amount of people in the industry, but I've never been that part
Yeah.
of the industry.
It's hard. I've done I probably did a half dozen tours. On the Diamond tour, I was with the band and we had our own plane.
Yeah.
We were leasing MGM Grand DC-8s and 727s. We flew private.
Yeah.
Same with Streisand. Um, the other great tour I didn't mention it was Yanni. I was Yanni's,
Yeah.
who lives
Yeah.
in your neighborhood, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. In Palm Beach. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll probably wrap up. But we did the Diamond Tour in '96, and a buddy of ours, Anthony Stabile, who's Yanni's right hand man, calls us going, "I need help. We're going
Yeah.
to India. We're playing the
Yeah, he
Taj
always
Mahal."
did those crazy gigs, the Taj Mahal, the pyramids, like
Marcel, that was the hardest gig any of us have ever done in our life.
what, the Taj?
The Taj.
Yeah.
So you see the Taj, and it's beautiful. Yeah, that's holy ground. We
Yeah.
were in the riverbed behind it,
Ugh.
in the Yamud River, and it was a March. It was a dry season, so huge. It was in sand. Doing shows in sand sucks. It just
Yeah.
we were there for 3 weeks. We built a full blown 6,000 seat venue in the sand. We were just kind of north of the Taj, but we had that. It was all about the video shot. That was the reason.
Yeah.
And it was just brutal.
Well, and the logistics and stuff too. Like you're in a really interesting place.
I did all the Diamond Tour had developed a FileMaker program for carnets, and Rocket Cargo took it, and so I knew how to run it. So I was brought on just to deal. We had 30 sea containers we took down there.
Jeez.
We put 5 containers alone were Brown United scaffolding because there was no scaffolding there. There was bamboo.
Yeah.
And we had to get it all in there. And we had a tank bridge across the river. We come down one day and the bridge is up in the air and they're going, "Oh, sorry, bridge is broke. We got to go to Delhi to get a part," and they paid the general $30,000 and the bridge came back down. So we did our first show, and Mike Weiss was the production manager. We're standing there, we're going, maybe we better go up and look at this place. We haven't been up there, so we went up and walked around the Taj, beautiful. But Mikey figured out real quick that they were going to try to do the same thing to us on the strike. So the moment the third show ended, we went full-blown loadout. I mean, just getting them in there, get the trucks, it was all sea containers, get it across the river. And we went 24 hours straight. And luckily the next day was the holy day where they run around through painting each other. So the following day, after we had gotten everything across, they raised the bridge, and there was still like the tents and the fencing and the chairs that we got, of course, all got from the locals there, and they were stuck out there for like 2 weeks.
Oh,
there was no other way to get anything out of there because we had to get it to China. This is the second part of this story. We got all back and they shipped it to Tianjin. We flew home, and 6 weeks later we flew back and we were in Beijing, and we were in the Forbidden City, and we did a show. The Forbidden City is a pretty amazing place. It's huge. It's these big temples that go back like 6, but we were over on the side and kind of a side temple, and the Indians were really great to deal with. The elements were brutal. Now here we are in the middle of Beijing, but trying to deal with the Chinese, you might as well go pound your head against the wall for a while because it was just everything was no, which means F you in Chinese.
Yeah.
And it was we're in concrete, we're staying in a beautiful hotel, but man, it was hard.
Yeah.
And we pulled that one out. We did 3 shows, right? And that was a great adventure. We had one day off and we all got hammered. Of course, like we do.
Yeah.
And the next day, the sound guy, Greg Lopez, is going, "We got to go to the Great Wall. We got to go." Oh, Greg. Oh, man. And he dragged us out. We went up because the Great Wall is about 2 hours north of Beijing. And we went up there, and I'm glad I did because I had a picture of me standing on the Great Wall of China.
When was that?
97.
Okay.
And then I was Yanni's tour manager in 98. And we were carrying, we had 150 people there in India and China. We had a 75-piece orchestra.
Yeah.
And the Taj at night is not lit up.
Yeah.
So we had to bring in, I don't know if you remember those big synchro lights and
Yeah,
mega
of course.
lights.
Yeah.
We had 20 lighting guys on the show. It was all PRG. We had to set up and light the Taj up because
I
and
remember the scene. Like I remember that whole Yanni show in Taj.
yeah.
It
And
was
the first
incredible.
night we lit it up, half of Agra was down there. It was
Yeah.
just, they never seen it lit up at night.
That's crazy.
And we had all these rules. We couldn't light it up in purple. We had to use, natural colors,
Yeah.
But it was pretty amazing. Just,
Yeah. Yeah, that was
but
neat.
yeah, but
Yanni was such a big deal back then. Like those
he was,
those shows were so cool.
yeah. In '98, we did a big tour of the U.S., 9 buses, and 4 of them alone were just for the band and the orchestra. We were down to like a 35-piece orchestra. And we worked all year, and we were at the top tour that year, believe it or not. Because no one else,
Wow.
Neil wasn't out, the Stones weren't out, U2 wasn't out. We were the number 1 tour that year. So that was kind of a good way to end it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. I wonder if he still got his hair.
I don't know. He lives right there in West Palm.
I don't ever like he hasn't done anything really dumb where he got drunk and went out and smashed up a Ferrari or something. So I don't see anything about him. I used to know, well, I didn't really know her, but I met her at a party or something. I used to live in a neighborhood where one of his daughters or something lived there. I think she was his daughter, not his niece. It was either his daughter or his niece lived in our neighborhood. And I met her at a party once, and they said, "Hey, this is Yanni's daughter." And I was, "Oh, hi, how are you?"
Yeah.
But
he my good friend Anthony Stabile, who lives there, who still goes over to his house, kind of looks after there's a studio there and everything. And they were doing a real close friend of mine, Bud Horowitz, the lighting. It was Yanni's lighting.
Bud. Yeah.
They were from like 2000 up to the pandemic. They would do a U.S. tour, but they were doing shows like in Armenia, the pyramids, Malaysia. I mean, they were and they had set it up where they had 2 sea containers parked, one in the Western Hemisphere and one in the Eastern Hemisphere. With the boards and that's how they got. I remember
talking with Bud about that, about how crazy that sort of period.
They were just all over the place. But then I talked to Anthony, and I go, "Is Yanni going back out?" He goes, "He's done. He's not going to do it anymore."
Huh.
So,
wow.
Yeah. But that show, the one on the tribute show, it's a great. I still listen to the album. It's a great album.
Yeah.
Great video. God, we had 15 cameras there. 75-piece orchestra, and it was a great show. It really was.
Yeah.
And really nice guy to work for.
So let me ask you a stupid interview question. If you could go back and talk to your 22-year-old self, what would you what would you tell him to do?
Go into business, I think.
A different business?
I don't know.
You got crazy memories and stories though that you wouldn't have gotten if you were.
I know it's been a great adventure. I've been to 24 countries, 49 states, some countries multiple times. I've been to Australia 3 times. I've been to Ireland 3 times. I've been to England 8 times.
Which state have you not been to?
Alaska.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that'd be I'd like to do a cruise up there. One of those cruises that goes up.
Everyone says that's such an incredible cruise. I have no desire to be, on a ship among icebergs, but
my parents, my dad, my stepmom did it one time. They said it was great.
Yeah.
But I'm not a cruise guy either. I've never been on a cruise.
I don't mind cruises. Like I live in South Florida, so eventually you're going to go on a cruise, right?
Yeah, right.
And I've known so many people in the cruise business, so they're like, "Hey, let me get you on a ship," and so I don't mind them, but I get a little stir crazy after a bit. It's like I don't like being told where to be at what time and all that kind of stuff. I'd rather just go to a resort and then do what I want to do. Rent a car and get where you want to go. But like everyone says the Alaska cruises. I actually played in a band that we got offered by an agent. We got offered a gig in Inuvik, which is like right next to Alaska at the very top of Canada.
Oh, right. Way up there.
It's like right on the Beaufort Sea, basically. And that was crazy. And that made me never want to go to Alaska after that. I'd seen enough, it was like, okay, I'm good. Like, Alaska I hear is beautiful. you can have it. I'm
Yeah.
good with beautiful other places.
Yeah, they just don't do any shows or anything up there. My good friend Steve McFadden,
Yeah.
a couple years ago, did the Foo Fighters up there. They
Oh,
called him
really?
out of the blue
Huh.
because he had done the Alaska Fair or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know we're about 90 minutes, but
Yeah, no, I mean, I really appreciate you doing this. I didn't know your story, and it's a great story. And I
yeah,
also like the transition aspect of the story. You know, like basically at some point in the 90s, you just said, okay, I did this. That's good. And you figured out a way how to transition into more of a local
yeah,
aspect of the business. And you've obviously done very well in it.
yeah. The great thing about the court is you're in one spot.
Yeah.
You're not moving.
Yeah. It doesn't have
You
the
know,
sex appeal of a tour, I guess, but it's a heck of a lot easier on the body.
yeah, yeah. It is.
Yeah.
I still miss it. It was so much fun, especially with Neil. You know,
Yeah.
he was such a great. You know, another great Neil story is we're in Sydney, Australia. He looks out, and there's a harbor. You know, there's the opera house and the bridge,
Yeah.
and he goes,
I think it's
Patrick,
called Sydney Harbor, isn't it?
Sydney Harbor, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Patrick, the next day off, let's get a boat and take everybody out. So they rent a boat, and the whole crew, even our Australian crew guys, we went out and cruised all around Sydney Harbor. Just that was, but he would do stuff like that all the time. Just
That is so great. That's awesome.
we're in Switzerland. He decides everybody needs one of those Swiss Army knives that are like, you take a tank apart. He went and
Yeah.
bought. We're in Seattle. He goes down and buys everybody an Eddie Bauer jacket, And the
That's
best
cool.
story, the last, we're at the Forum, 10 nights, sold out. Last day, phone rings, production. Kent, send Jose to Tiffany's. It's Patrick. Like, okay, Jose, you gotta go to Tiffany's. I thought he was getting a present for Claire Rothman. Who used to run the building. He's gone for hours. Where the hell's Jose at? No pagers, no cell phone. He finally comes back. It's like 4:30. I'm like, where the hell you been? He goes, I got 100 little teal Tiffany bags in the car. I'm like, what? He goes, he bought everybody a bracelet.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Get him in the office, pull out. It's a sterling silver bracelet, 2 gold bars, your name. Flip it over and said, thank you for the 10 great nights at the Forum, Neil.
That's so cool.
And then the women, we had a few women out there, but and he just didn't get them for the tour. He got them for everybody in the building. All the the union guys, head union guys. The women, instead of their name, they got a diamond. That's the kind of class act he was.
That is amazing. I wish all artists treated their crew like that,
Well, the closest I see these days is Taylor Swift. I mean,
I always hear about all those things that she does, which is pretty incredible. But
you can tell it's a family-run tour. Our dad's out there.
Yeah,
she really appreciates. The bonuses are just. I got some bonuses back in the day, but man, those bonuses are insane.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
But I think that shows a lot, about the quality of person she is, and I've heard nothing but great things about her.
Yeah,
way the whole thing's run.
Well, it's a machine. Obviously, it's making.
Yeah.
When you're making billions, it's easy to give away millions.
Yeah. Well, Neil, like I said, Neil was the same way. He really looked after everybody, spread it around. Nice tour bonuses, swag for days.
That's awesome. I love it.
All right, man.
Ken, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's an interesting life you've had, and
thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
you.
Well,
thanks for having me, and Happy New Year, and so hopefully we'll cross paths again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, man.